A disability is something that has a major impact on your life.
Every disability is different.
And it's never the same thing for two people. I am blind in my right eye totally and partially sighted in my left eye.
I was 18 years old. We were traveling way too fast on a gravel road. Broke my neck, my back.
My Asperger's syndrome and my cerebral palsy.
I have anxiety and depression. People would have no idea just talking to me.
Being independent means different things to different people.
I want to live in my own house. I want to pay my own bills.
Live independently and not rely on other people.
When someone is not able to live as independently as they can, it does have a detrimental effect on people's physical and mental well-being.
It's no complicated thing. It's just that people with disabilities want to be included.
Plenty of people get stuck in ruts when they feel like they can't overcome something in their life. That's where Lyft comes in.
Living independently for today and tomorrow. Lyft. We help people of all ages and all types of disabilities find the resources or acquire the skills to live as independently as possible.
We serve the southeastern 18 counties here at the Billings office. We have a variety of things that we offer. We can help with grant funding for adaptive equipment.
Maybe a home modification so they're able to access their home. We help people to find that funding.
Helping people apply for Social Security benefits.
Medicaid, Medicare, housing.
They have a peer support group. Peer support, I think, is key.
Sharing life experiences is one of the most powerful things to help people who might be new to disability, who might be struggling with their disability.
Youth transitions is kids that are transitioning out of high school. They need to learn those adulting skills. It might be rent an apartment, learn how to grocery shop, budgeting.
Help someone advocate for themselves in a school or an employment setting. One of our biggest strengths is providing folks with information and referral. If we can't help you, we hope to know who can.
A lot of times we'll have a potential consumer call in and they think that they just have one need, and it turns out that we end up finding 3 or 4 things we can actually do for them.
You can just come in and say, hey, I feel like I have this going on. Can you help me? And we can, which is so cool to me. I love that.
Most of us on staff at Lyft have identified ourselves as having one or more disabilities. That is helpful in many cases.
It's easier to empathize with someone when you yourself have struggled with a disability.
This is what we specialize in. This is who we are, and this is what we do.
And it costs nothing to go to Lyft. It's a nonprofit organization and they're there to help.
Somebody that was a consumer that was working with Lyft was asked to do an art project. He visualized that the balloon helps to lift people up. And then it became the logo, and it's stuck.
There's been success on all kinds of levels.
It's really rewarding to have a consumer go, hey, I was able to do this by myself today.
We want people to live their best life as independent as possible.
Live as everyone else in society and live as a part of society, not apart from society.
Everybody needs help. Sometimes you just need a little more help, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
There's plenty of life to live still, and there's a way you can do it. Keep chipping away at it, little by little by little.
Knowledge is power. Let's share it, for crying out loud.
Send us an email, give us a call. We'll do our best to help.
We can definitely help figure out what your needs are and get started on that. We're one of many steps in the path to independence, and we're happy to be serving people here in the community.
Good day and welcome to Living Well in Montana. Living Well in Montana is a program of living independently for today and tomorrow. LIFT, as we like to call ourselves, LIFTT. LIFT is what is known as a Center for Independent Living. We are a nonprofit source of information, resources, and advocacy for the independence of people with disabilities, serving an 18-county area of southeastern and south central Montana. For more information about LIFT, I encourage you to visit our website at liftt.org or download our mobile app for your Apple or Android device. My name is Jed Barton, and I am a public relations specialist at LIFT, and I am here today with our executive director, Carlos Ramallo, and our guest today is David Carlson, the Executive Director of Disability Rights Montana, who is an important partner of LIFT and the other Montana IL centers in terms of enforcing and ensuring that the rights, civil and human rights of people with disabilities are respected. Welcome, David.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Jed, for introducing our show. Thank you, David, for being a guest today. LIFT is celebrating 36 years in October 2024. And Disability Rights Montana has been one of LIFT's strategic partners for many years. Together, we serve the population of the Big Sky state of Montana that live with disabilities or different abilities, like we like to describe them. I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell the audience who you are and how you became the executive directors of such an important organization. And then if you will follow with your description of what Disability Rights Montana is and what it does and why it's such an important organization for our community.
Sure. So, I'm David Carlson. I am a lawyer by training, but been a legal manager for quite a while these days. And that I'll foreshadow a little bit. What is Disability Rights Montana? I think one of the things that makes us unique is we have lawyers. So we serve a lot of the same community that you all serve, but we bring a slightly different advocacy perspective there. So where did I come from and how did I become the executive director here? I spent my career in Washington State and working for the sister organization of Disability Rights Montana, Disability Rights Washington. Just like there are multiple independent living centers in the state and then around the country, there are a disability rights fill in the blank state or territory all over the country. And I was first an intern at that organization while I was in law school. Then I became a lawyer there, then an associate legal director, then the legal director, then the advocacy director, and eventually had worked there for over 20 years and said, I need to sort of build something new. And the opportunity, after our longtime executive director at Disability Rights Montana retired, Bernie Franks-Ongoy, I moved on over to lead the team we have here at Disability Rights Montana. How I got into disability work, though, is sort of starts even before that. I went to law school wanting to be a better advocate for people with disabilities. I myself grew up and spent a decent amount of time in children's hospitals because I was born with a congenital heart defect, and realized, wow, there's a lot of when you're deeply involved in the medical field and having to get services, there's a lot of advocacy that's necessary there. And then when I got to school, I didn't really fit in well at school. I have dyslexia, and my parents weren't really big on accommodations, so just sort of muscled through school, barely graduated high school, but realized, wow, you got to really fight against the system to get anywhere. It's not really designed well. So I started to excel, though, in college, and I found my people and my process for learning stuff. I really always loved learning, just school wasn't set up well for me to learn. And I thought I'd be a psychologist one day. I really liked psychology, and I was working as a direct care specialist for people with developmental disabilities and mental illness in their own homes. Said, you know what, they don't need more psychologists. And we're like, we need some lawyers in this field to help with all this fighting. You always got an uphill battle against the medical profession, against the school system, against now the service delivery system that I was learning more about. So I was like, I'll be a lawyer. I didn't really know what that entailed. It entails a lot of reading. And I don't advise that for people with dyslexia, but if it fits, it fits, and it fit for me.
Wow.
And it was a lot of reading and a lot of writing, but I am good with words, just not getting them onto paper sometimes, and getting them off of paper is the interface there. But I think I'm really good at putting ideas together, and really enjoyed my time as a lawyer in Washington State, and got to work on a lot of big cases and help a lot of people. But I also realized I can help a lot of people on the administrative side, so moved over doing that. Now, Disability Rights Montana, what is it and what do we do? We sue people. We also do public policy work. We help people learn about their rights. There are actually 5 federal mandates. There's one of us in every state and territory. We're not actually all called disability rights, fill in the blank. Like could be like Utah is the Disability Law Center of Utah. But there's one of us in Northern Marianas Islands, there in the U.S. Virgin Islands, in Maine and Alaska. So wherever you go, where the American flag is flying over it, there is a protection and advocacy system. That's the legal sort of federal term, protection and advocacy system. And there are 5 mandates under our original act that we continue to do for all of the other functions that we serve that the federal government wants us to do. We are a private nonprofit, but Congress gave us some special powers.
Sure.
One, monitor, so we can go anywhere there are people with disabilities. Nursing home, psychiatric facility, homeless shelter, even people's own homes. Obviously, if you don't want us in your house, we will not enter. But if you're like, yeah, come on in, like we knock on the door and say, hey, we are the protection and advocacy system, and we are here to make sure you're not being abused and your rights aren't being violated, you want to talk. A lot of services are now being delivered in the community, and maybe your in-home care provider is mistreating you. Give us a call, we can come in, we can talk with you. And so we monitor places, we do investigations, we can get access to records that are otherwise covered by HIPAA. Everyone's heard of HIPAA. Very few people actually dig into it and know all the contours of it, but that's a privacy law that affects healthcare information. And we can get access to information that would otherwise be covered by HIPAA, because sometimes that privacy, while it protects the individual from prying eyes, it also protects abusers from external scrutiny. So we can look at records that are covered by HIPAA or FERPA. That's the education version of that. So if you're in school, we could monitor your school. We could come walk through the school and see who's in the seclusion room today, and how is the safety resource officer interacting with students. And so wherever there are people with disabilities, we can monitor, investigate. We can advocate. Unlike a lot of people who receive federal money, we're allowed to do class action litigation. We're allowed to do small, short-term advocacy that doesn't involve litigation. So we do a wide variety of types of advocacy. We also educate people with disabilities about their rights, and we educate policymakers about the rights of people with disabilities. So those are the 5 mandates that we have from Congress.
Wow, that's a wonderful organization. So what I understood, and our viewers might have understood, is that Disability Rights is a type of law firm that is in the business of removing barriers and obstacles that prevented the aging and disabled people from living independently and fulfilling their, goals and purposes in life. Is that a way of describing it?
Absolutely, yeah. While we do a little more than your average law firm, everyone who works at our office has to work under the legal ethics rules, and that's the lens we bring to our advocacy. That's a little different than maybe some of the advocacy you'd get in another disability-focused group.
I see. One of the biggest challenges for LIFT and for our independent living specialists in representing and promoting independent living in our community is, for example, the Olmstead decision of the Supreme Court. And we understand that the decision to be a transformative, postmodern decision that is imposing the rights of the people with disabilities. Would you like to talk a little about that?
Yeah, I thought talking to the Independent Living Center, Olmstead would come up. So I brought a zine that I wrote a little while back because I think it's a powerful decision, but how many people have actually read it? So I tried to reduce the story of Elaine Curtis and Lois Wilson, the two women who brought that case, to something short, a couple pages long, that someone can read through and say, okay, that's what Olmstead's about. And then maybe you would be interested in reading the case or reading more about what the U.S. Department of Justice or the various protection and advocacy systems around the country have been doing in the court since then to make sure that the Olmstead decision, the decision that Lois, one thing I wanted to do was, Olmstead's just a bureaucrat. There's a picture of him in the zine. He's a bureaucrat who said, no, you can't live in the community. So the real heroes of the case are Lois and Elaine, Lois Curtis and Elaine Wilson. And what did they do? They were just two women who were living in institutions who said, I want to live in the community. They'd been living in institutions for years, since their teen years, and told, no, you can only get services in this institution. The person who told them that was Tommy Olmstead. And so they took him to court, and they won at the federal district court level, they won at the federal appellate level, and they won at the U.S. Supreme Court level. And a lot of times people think, all right, then they won, it's done. A win in court, though, doesn't change what's going on out in the streets. We know that from like Brown versus Board of Education. That's one court case that a lot of people have heard of that should have changed desegregated schools. That's what that was about in the 1950s. And still in the 2000s, we have schools being just as racially segregated as they were in the 1950s. And we still have people, while the Olmstead decision and Lois and Elaine's case was decided in 1999, 25 years ago, it was the anniversary this summer, the 25th anniversary, 25 years ago, you'd think, all right, so people with disabilities can live in the community. I'm like, well, they can, but that's not a given. You just often have to fight. And that's, like I was saying before, why I went to law school, because I know there's a lot of laws on the books, a lot of rules that people should be following. But when people don't follow the rules, that's why you need the lawyer to go into court and enforce those rules.
What I love about everything that you told us about yourself and disability rights is that you are an individual with disabilities, not one little tiny invisible disability, but you told us you experienced disability since you were born with a congenital failure in your heart. And so you know what it means to be different, to have a different ability and need to fight for your rights. And more than that, you engaged yourself in promoting system change. And that's a big challenge for us because people tend to have a conservative frame of mind, a conservative upbringing, a high respect for the law, and for the order that is in place. And when you talk about dismantling the order, the oppressive rules and laws and traditions that are in place, people get afraid, they get confused. So we need, at Lift, we are struggling and we want to demystify that idea that is wrong, promoting system change and turning things upside down. But that's the wrong perception. I wonder if you would agree with these ideas about promoting system change. In your experience, long experience as a disabled individual, as a disability rights attorney, what does it mean to promote system change? And is there room to promote that type of change in the state of Montana?
Wow, that is quite a question. I think systems change, that opens up a question of your theory of change, of how does change happen? And is change good? Is change bad? And I think that I very much see myself as a systems change lawyer, a systems change advocate. I'm really looking at not just tweaking or nibbling around the edges, but fully transforming systems and building something entirely new. But the newness comes from a desire, a need that has been persistent in there for a long period of time. If we look at the independent living centers and the father of the independent living movement, Ed Roberts, that he was doing his work decades before Lois and Elaine won their case in the Supreme Court. And their case built on the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was interpreting a statute that was passed a decade before. And so this is all incremental movement. We aren't jerking the entire society all at once in one direction, but it is building on the values that we share. The value that Ed Roberts shared of, I need to be able to go to high school, I need to be able to go to college, and yes, I use an iron lung or a ventilator, and yes, I use a wheelchair to move around, but that should not prevent me from living the American dream, having agency over my own life and making decisions about who I want to live with, where I want to live. College student, I don't want to live in the infirmary, I want to live in a dormitory. I am a college student, I want to be able to go in all parts of the college, not just this particular location or that particular location. We're still fighting on that type of stuff of is the building accessible or not? And so we have a board of directors because we're a nonprofit, we're not the government, but they set every year a set of priorities for us on where we're going to put our effort. So these priorities build on a long time movement in the disability rights and independent living movement of trying to make our community better for people with disabilities. There's nothing inherently wrong with the idea that we might need to build on what we currently have, to build on the idea of freedom and liberty, that I can go where I want to go, live the life I want to live, experience what I want to experience and not be pushed aside or overly sheltered. We in the disability movement have a concept of the dignity of risk. As a kid, I was told I wouldn't ever walk, and then I wouldn't walk more than 10 feet, or I would certainly never run. My parents, again, there's some pros and cons with not caring too much about disability and not looking for accommodations, is they never told me, you can't play soccer, you can't play basketball. So I did all those things that schools were like, he's gonna have a heart attack, we can't have him doing that. And that dignity of risk of, no, let me live the life I want to live, is a very American, very Montanan idea. When I was out at the bucking horse sale earlier this spring in Miles City, it's a festival of risk. It is a beautiful exploration of the idea of there is no good, sensible reason why you would want to ride a horse that does not want you to ride it. riding horses is a way to get from here to there. It's not, but it has been turned into a fun exercise both for the individual who's interfacing with this animal and trying to figure out how we're going to get through the next 8 seconds, and for the audience, and for the people who make the millions of dollars in commerce that's happening that weekend. So that's the Montanan value just as much as I want to live in my own house. I want to move out of my family home. I have Down syndrome. I don't want to live with my parents my entire life. I want to find a partner. I want to have some kids. I want to live a full life the way I want to live it. Help support me doing that. Don't get in the way of that. Don't say, you might get hurt. Of course, we all might get hurt in different ways based on who we are, but that's life. Life is risky.
Freedom, liberty, equal access, and equal opportunity. Those are the values that drive Lift and disability rights. And I would like, David, for Lift and disability rights to join forces and work together to promote change in the state of Montana and make Montana the most disability-friendly state in the Union. I think there is a lot of work to do. There are lots of opportunities there. I am amazed how fast our time went by. We have only 1 minute left. And I would like to say it's my dream to, part of the work that we can do together is have a legal clinic at Lift in association with disability rights, where people can come to and talk to an attorney or a paralegal and find out what their rights are and what remedies and alternatives are out there for them to impose and promote their rights, and by
like
doing that
excellent.
promote a change. So I
Yep.
would like us to strengthen that conversation, and I would like to invite you to come back maybe once a month for us to talk about the different subjects. I know you are in Helena, we are in Billings, but when you cannot come to Billings, we can do the show online via Zoom. And I know there are lots of different subjects that we need to talk about. I will give you 30 seconds to tell our viewers if they think disability rights can help, you can help, or one of your associates. How do they contact Disability Rights Montana and you?
If you have access to a computer, the easiest way is to go to disabilityrightsmt.org, and right on our front page you can schedule an appointment to talk to one of our advocates, and that's the easiest. You can schedule it for a time that works well for you. You can see what's available and schedule right there.
Okay. Thanks. David, thank you very much. It was an honor having you in our show. It is an honor to work with disability rights. Back to Judd.
I think that about wraps it up. Thanks, David, and thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.